feel just so exhausted, but like your body can't relax? Or maybe you feel like your body is holding a lot of tension in your shoulders and your neck, maybe your stomach, but for no real reason at all. Or maybe you're just constantly on edge, you're jumping at sounds, or you're constantly looking over your shoulder, even when nothing really around you is happening. If this sounds like you, there's actually a reason for all of this. And today we're going to dive into and explore a little bit deeper what your body and what your nervous system is really trying to tell you. Hi there, I'm Kate, and I help people reconnect with their body's natural intelligence through somatic and energetic practices. So today we're going to talk about your nervous system and the idea of being regulated versus dysregulated. So your nervous system is constantly responding to its environment and what's happening around you. Being regulated is when the energy of your body is matching the energy of the situation. So for example, if you're running from danger, your body is going to naturally ramp up and you're going to go into that fight or flight state. And this is good. We are regulated in this moment, and that's a great thing. Regulated doesn't always mean calm. And I feel like that term has kind of become a catch-all for the term being calm, right? If we're getting chased by someone or something, we want our body to react and we want our nervous system to ramp up so we can get out of there and get to safety safely. But then we also want our nervous system to be able to come back down to baseline. And this is when dysregulation can happen, is when our nervous system is not coming back to baseline and it's getting stuck in that pattern of fight or flight. So if regulation is our body's energy matching the energy of the situation, then dysregulation is our body staying in that state long after the danger or the threat that our body was responding to has passed. So dysregulation can also happen when your body's capacity just isn't big enough yet to handle and hold the seemingly small stressors of life. So it's not that you're overreacting, which maybe sometimes it feels like we might be overreacting, or maybe someone's told us that we're overreacting, but you simply just don't have the bandwidth in your nervous system to handle these small stressors. And now the good news is this doesn't always have to be the case, right? We do have the ability to increase the capacity of our nervous systems. It just takes time and practice and intention and slowing down. Capacity grows over time with support, safety, and regulation practices. So why does this even matter? When your nervous system is stuck in a dysregulated state, it doesn't just feel uncomfortable, but it starts to crop up in your day-to-day life. You might start noticing anxiety bubbling up in every situation. You might have physical chronic pain that you have no explanation for. You might have skin issues that you have no explanation for, IBS or digestive issues, anxiety, depression. All of these and so many more symptoms are the result of a dysregulated nervous system. And if we're not taking the time to intentionally and actively regulate our bodies, these symptoms can persist in our daily lives and we might not ever find a real reason for why they're happening. And we just end up living like this, thinking that it's normal. You might experience irritability or maybe sleep issues, insomnia, racing thoughts. All of these are different ways of your body responding to a dysregulated nervous system. Over time, it can even lead to burnout and adrenal fatigue and just feeling completely disconnected from yourself. Understanding what's happening in your body is one of the first steps you can take to start to notice these patterns and to start gently guiding your body back into balance. When we're finally able to do this, we can start matching our energy to the situation and the moment rather than getting stuck in stress. So let's talk about the 4 core reasons why your nervous system might feel dysregulated. I want to break this down into really easily digestible pieces because I feel like a lot of the times we're told that we're stressed or we're anxious, but we don't understand what that means or why our bodies might be feeling the way they're feeling. So the reasons I'm going to describe today, there's 4 of them. They're more about patterns that your nervous system can get stuck in, making it more difficult for you to feel grounded and safe. And when we can start to understand what these patterns are or look like or feel like, we can start to understand our body better, and it can leave us in a more empowered place to start to make changes and to start finding ways to make our body feel safe in this moment, which would help us handle other moments when we might feel really stressed. So the first reason we're going to talk about is chronic fight or flight activation. So when we're stuck in fight or flight, it means our body is literally preparing to either run away or fight someone. And a lot of the times, our body and our nervous system can get stuck in this pattern for days, weeks, months, even years. So this can be due to daily stress. It could also be due to some kind of traumatic situation. Maybe we're a victim of violence or domestic violence or sexual abuse or childhood trauma, and our body has learned to stay in this fight or flight state because maybe when we were younger or when we were in a situation that might have been very abusive, we always had to be on guard and we always had to be looking over our shoulder. And even if we are now out of that stressful and abusive situation, our body doesn't recognize that and we are stuck in that fight or flight situation. We can also get stuck in fight or flight just due to constant overstimulation. And I think this is a huge one that so many people deal with, specifically because we are constantly on our phones. We live in a really fast paced society that pushes productivity. And when we either grow up in that society or we're submersed in it every single day, our nervous system starts to mirror that and we can stay stuck in that fight or flight state. It also might present as what some people might call high functioning anxiety. So essentially what's happening is your nervous system is never getting a chance to rest. It's never getting a chance to come back to baseline. You are constantly just living in this elevated state all of the time. So imagine you're running a race, but you never get to stop. That's what's going on with your nervous system and your body when you are stuck in a chronic fight or flight pattern. Your body is just in overdrive, even when you're trying to rest. So maybe you might even feel that wired but tired feeling, like you're trying to go to bed, but you're just so exhausted, but you're also like just so wired, maybe like kind of like you had a cup of coffee before you went to bed. Um, this is what that chronic fight or flight state feels like. Reason number 2 is old survival patterns. And I kind of touched on this in the last one, but our bodies are incredibly intelligent and they learn from a very young age what to do to keep us safe in whatever situation we might be in. And it can happen as we get older too, right? It doesn't have to just necessarily be childhood trauma or a childhood situation, but our body is constantly scanning our environment and looking for ways to keep us safe. Sometimes this can show up as that fight or flight, but other times it can also show up as a fawning response, so people pleasing, or a freeze response where you just completely shut down. In these stressful situations, these are usually the best ways that our body knows how to keep us safe. And because it works in that situation, our body remembers that in the next time that we're in a situation that might feel similar. And we just go into that pattern without even thinking about it. It's completely unconscious. We just know it worked in the past, and our body just goes right back into it. Reason number 3 is a lack of regulation practices. Now, most of us never learned how to feel our emotions and feel into our bodies. Again, we live in a society that really glorifies our mind. And so many of us live in our mind. It's so easy to. We get trapped in our mind, telling the same stories, reliving the same thing over and over. If we're doing this every day and we're never taking the time to feel into our body, when stress hits, we can start doing things like numbing out. We can start repressing our emotions or shoving them back into our body and never fully feeling these things. And again, that is going to keep our nervous system in a dysregulated state. Without tools to come back into our body, we stay disconnected and our nervous system stays stuck in these old patterns. This can lead us to feeling scattered, irritable, sad, drained, and just lacking energy. Reason 4, modern life works against regulation. And I touched on this before, but I just want to come back to it because I think it's a really important point. Think about your day to day life. It is just constant notifications, text messages, emails, work calls, children, animals, partners, Amazon trucks, online shopping, driving. We are constantly bombarded by technology, noises, screaming, you know, all of these little day-to-day things are constantly bombarding us. And this is completely different than how it was 50 to 100 years ago, right? We know this. We live in a society that stresses productivity over anything else. And our bodies and our nervous systems are just not designed to hold it, right? And not only that, we're disconnected from Mother Earth. We're disconnected from nature. We don't take as much time outside. We're sitting under fluorescent lights all day long. All of these things have contributed to constant dysregulated nervous systems. There's very little room for real, true rest. Even when you're on your phone, laying on the couch, thinking you're resting, that constant stimulation from your phone is not allowing your nervous system to go into a deep state of rest. There's little time to go outside. Children today, the average recess time is 20 minutes a day. It's just not enough. And it's less for adults because we don't get recess. So modern society has just been set up in a way that completely contradicts what our body really needs. For me personally, the effects of a dysregulated nervous system were widespread. I suffered from chronic eczema for over 13 years. I had stomach issues. My hair was graying. I had issues sleeping. I was constantly jumping at any little sound, looking over my shoulder, very uncomfortable in situations, high social anxiety, depression. There's probably more. And it took daily intentional practices of regulation, grounding, breath work, TRE or tension and trauma releasing exercises, meditation, and some other tools to help me come back into my body and start to heal these chronic issues that I was dealing with. But that's what it's all about, right? It's about learning these tools, intentionally tuning into our body and recognizing the patterns that are affecting us and taking the time to really tune into them and understand them before we start to change them. Because at one point in our lives, these patterns were protecting us and they were our friends, and it was what got us through potentially dangerous situations. So that's what this is all about. Understanding your body, noticing your patterns, and then taking these small intentional steps to help change your energy and change your nervous system to support your life more fully. Now, how do you know if this is you? I'm sure a lot of you watching this, listening to my story perhaps, or some of the other symptoms that I was describing, can understand that this might be you. You might be stuck in one of these chronic patterns. But some other things that you might notice: you might feel wired but tired. You might constantly feel the need that you just need to crash at the end of the day, but you just can't. Or maybe your body is super tense all the time and your shoulders are always like this, stuck in your ears, but you actually just can't physically let them come down. You might do things to try to distract yourself. So maybe you lean on food, or maybe you're doom scrolling every night, even though that you know it's really not good for you. And you know that the blue light is going to keep you up, and filling your mind with these things at the end of the day is not doing any benefit for you, but you can't seem to stop yourself. You might have chronic pain in your low back. You might grind your teeth or clench your jaw at night. You might have chronic neck pain or chronic IBS or gastrointestinal issues. Or like me, you might have suffered or be suffering from chronic eczema or skin issues or autoimmune issues. If any of these things sound like you, there is likely a root cause issue in a dysregulated nervous system. Also, if any of this sounds like you, I want you to know that you're not alone in any of this. So many people are suffering from a dysregulated nervous system. And by educating yourself and taking the steps to learn about your body and start to acknowledge your patterns, you're taking the steps in the right direction to start making changes and to start healing. So now that we looked at some reasons why your nervous system might be dysregulated, let's take a moment to do a very simple practice together. And you can do this anytime, even if you only have a minute or two. So I'm going to invite you to place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. If it feels good for you, I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes. And we're just going to take some very conscious, very intentional breaths here. So breathing in through your nose, into the belly, and then exhaling out of your mouth with a sigh. And repeat that breath in through the nose and out through the mouth 3 or 4 more rounds. And just feeling how your body moves. Maybe noticing any tension or tightness when you breathe into your belly or your chest. And taking one more breath here. And when you've let that breath go, you can gently open your eyes. And notice here, has your body slowed down a little bit? Maybe your heart rate has come down. Maybe you're more conscious of what you're feeling inside your body. Maybe you started to notice your shoulders softened or your jaw unclenched. And now what I just want to remind you of whenever you come to do this practice of just mindful breathing, it's not about forcing your body to do anything. It's simply about finding the natural rhythm of your body and feeling into that and tuning into what's going on inside of your body. Over time, practicing small moments like this over the day can really help your body and your nervous system start to get unstuck from those patterns and find its way into a more regulated baseline state throughout your day. And it will start to increase your capacity, like we talked about in the beginning. Sometimes our capacity of our nervous system is just not big enough to hold the stress of everyday life, but incorporating small, quiet moments like this breathing practice will help you to start to slowly increase the capacity of your nervous system, and those small stressors won't build up so quickly and cause you to react so quickly. So remember that regulation doesn't mean being calm all the time. It means that your nervous system has the capacity to expand or contract when needed and then come back to baseline and stay there until it needs to be utilized again. Even just taking 1 minute like we did today to come back into that balance is going to help you start to create that capacity and create that awareness and start making small changes in your everyday life. If you want some more simple tools to help your nervous system find balance and feel better in everyday life, check back to my channel and check out my playlist called Start Here, which is going to be filled with various regulation tips and tools. Also, check out my channel for some sound healings. Sound healing is an amazing tool to utilize to help your body feel more grounded and to help, again, create that bigger capacity in your nervous system. Your body can learn again how to feel grounded, how to feel safe, and you can learn how to feel more in control of your own reactions. Sometimes I know when we are in this dysregulated state, it might feel like our body's been hijacked. But I'm here to remind you and guide you and show you that that doesn't always have to be the case. And that by practicing these simple tools, you can start to regain control of your body again.